So good evening, everyone. Today's webinar is about non-surgical nose reshaping, or the non-surgical nose job. I'll tell you a little bit of a story about how we found this treatment or discovered this treatment. It was getting on to nearly 10 years ago now, and our surgeon was at a peer meeting for everybody who uses a filler on the market that's called Radiesse. We use that mostly for our non-surgical nose jobs. And this filler was, was kind of being used by all the expert injectors out there, and they were discussing their experiences and what had happened when they'd injected it into people, and also just advanced applications of it. And it was a chance question by the guy running the session that led to Dr. Agwal, who's our surgeon, to put his hand up and say, well, why can't we put this filler into people's noses? We can reshape their nose completely. Everybody asked the question. They said, well, yeah, why not? And the rest of this day is history. And it led us down a path where we suddenly found that we could do a really, really effective treatment, one that gave people some amazing results, and we could do all of that without the need for surgery. So I'll share my screen with you, and I'm going to tell you about what we're going to talk about today, what we're going to discuss. It's a really informative webinar today to kind of get you to grips with the treatment. So I've jumped ahead there. Essentially, this is what we're going to cover today in today's webinar, and that is why people have non-surgical nose reshaping, what we can actually treat, how long the treatment lasts, is it permanent, and the kind of last bit, which is why we're a good choice for your non-surgical nose reshaping. And I'll kind of allude to that story again. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about applying a product somewhere that can fulfill a need. And we take a very non-robotic approach to all of this. So we don't paint by numbers. We don't inject where, well, the diagram shows that's where you should do it, because we're human beings. There are over 6 billion people on the planet, and everybody is unique. Everybody's nose is therefore are unique as well. So it's really important to have an understanding of the anatomy, but also to be able to tailor your solution to the person sat in front of you. So, our surgeon kind of knows what he's doing, and that's his training as a plastic and reconstructive surgeon. So we'll start off by talking about why people have non-surgical nose reshaping, and this is instead of surgical. So this isn't about whether somebody should have a treatment full stop. It's why would you choose this over surgery. And the primary reason that people come to us with is that they don't want the risks of surgery associated with their treatment. We get a lot of people in their 20s, early to mid-20s, which is a really important time for them. They're developing, they're finding themselves in the world. The slightest thing can knock their confidence. And the nose is such a prominent feature on the face that it can really impact how somebody perceives themselves in the world. So somebody at that age doesn't want to be considering the risks of surgery, because it's something that's then going to be a lifelong affliction. So that's one of the reasons why people come to us. And I do the consultation, so I see a lot of different people who have different reasons for having this done. The next one is that they want to try out the result before they actually have any surgery done. That's really a great benefit of this treatment. When we get down to what you can treat, you'll see there's pretty much everything we can do non-surgically, with one notable exception, but we can do everything non-surgically, and it gives you an idea with something that's reversible, with something that's not permanent. It gives you a chance to live with it. It's a huge change, and when people have a treatment done, a really common discussion, and I handhold people through the whole process, but a really common discussion is that, I've seen a really, really dramatic improvement. because you're looking at your nose every single day. And then a couple of weeks later, you know, it's, oh yeah, it's absolutely great. But, you know, nobody's really said anything though. And, you know, there's an interesting bit of psychology at play there. You know, most people don't really notice that because that's not the most important part of your body or your face that they're noticing there. So they don't necessarily pick up on that. But if you point it out to them, they'll notice the real dramatic differences. And that's a really nice way to think about this treatment. It gives you that inner self-confidence that something has actually changed. And then the next reason would be that people only want something very minor altered or changed. So it's not really worth having the surgery, and also the expensive surgery. You're looking at £3,500, £4,000, £5,000 sometimes for full rhinoplasties. So if you can have the result, but without the risk and without the cost for something minor, then wonderful. And then lastly, we do it a lot to mask little dips and divots and unevenness that can be caused by surgery, previous surgery, and also by injuries. When people have fallen as a child and they've always been left with a dip, it can help mask all of that. And again, it gives them an idea to see what the result's going to look like. So the next bit is what we can actually treat, and there's a long list of things we can treat, and it's really going to be best if I come back to full screen mode. So if we look at what you can actually treat, and we're just waiting to come back to me, the most noticeable thing, the most obvious thing that you can do is actually remove a bump from somebody's nose. So that would be the bump over here. You know, some people have a slightly, if you look at it sort of profile-wise, you have a slight curvature of your nose, or sometimes it's a bit more pronounced, and you get, you know, from your nose comes out, and then you get a bit of a pronounced bump. Well, we can smooth that out, and that's the most obvious one that we can do. We can also straighten it from the front, so it's probably quite a good thing. So I've got a light directly in front of me, and you can see how the light falls on my nose. So sometimes you can get it where instead of it being a dead straight line, you know, it might be on a bit of an angle there. So that, obviously, I've exaggerated that quite a lot. It can be on a bit of an angle. So we can actually fill the other side of the nose, and that means that the light again falls straight. So while your nose hasn't been straightened, it gives the visual impact of a straighter nose. So that's another application. We can also fill the area around the bridge, and I have to move my glasses down for this. So that is this area here. And some people have a bit of a flattening over here, or a bit of a pronounced. So again, now if I go sideways, this bit is quite pronounced. It curves in quite a lot. So we can actually fill there, and that's a really, really obvious place to do that. We can fill that area, and we can give that long straight line again of how the light falls. As I said before, we can iron out dips and divots. So some people get unevenness just around the cartilage here. So if you imagine that, and you can see there the light is falling, and it makes it look like my nose is a bit curved. You can fill those areas out as well, so that's quite good. You can also lift the tip if you inject. Just, and I've actually got a beauty spot there, which is probably about the perfect place to describe it, but just over there, and it just pulls the skin a bit tighter, and you can lift the tip up ever so slightly, and it just gives you a slightly different look. And obviously you can add general bulk as well. So some people, this usually happens when it's post-surgery, but they can have a very, very, very thin nose, and you can add general bulk to that. So again, it's about how the light falls on your face and creating that illusion. So those are the kind of things that you can actually treat with non-surgical nose reshaping, and just with an injection. That's all it is. It's an injection. So the next thing we're going to talk about is if I can just get to sharing my screen. I do beg your pardon. Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. Share the presentation again. So I do apologise for that. So we go back to seeing the presentation again. So how long does it last? Now I said there it's an injection that we use. We use a dermal filler. Dermal fillers are traditionally used to fill out lines and wrinkles, but they can also be used to mask and hide any kind of deformities, any kind of imperfections in a particular area. And if you use enough of it, it can be used, or somebody's willing to use enough of it, you can use it to do things like create shoulders again if you like, when people have had sections removed due to tumours or any other serious illnesses. So how long it lasts depends on the filler that we use. We use two types. We use Restylane. Restylane is like the Ford of dermal fillers. It's been around since the year dot. It's been, they have over 1 million injections a year, lots of research, lots of data, very cost effective, and it lasts between 6 and 9 months in the skin. And fillers normally last an amount of time because your body starts breaking them down because it doesn't want that foreign body in there. So all of these things they're tested, they're dermatologically tested, and they're not, they don't react to your skin and tissue. There are some instances where that does happen. It's very rare, particularly with the two fillers that we use. But if it does happen, usually there's something you can do about it. You can either dissolve the filler, or you can treat it with some oral medication. So Restylane lasts between 6 and 9 months. And Radiesse, which is where our surgeon developed, or the filler that he used to develop this technique, it actually lasts between 18 and 24 months. Some people do find it lasts a little bit less time. That's usually down to how much has been injected in the first place, because if there's a lot going in and your body starts breaking this stuff down immediately, you start noticing that change pretty quickly. So it's not that the fillers all disappeared, it's just that the visual impact is changing a little bit. So that's kind of how long it lasts. The next question I usually get asked in consultation is that, well, is it permanent, despite how long we sort of talk about it lasting? And yeah, agreed, it is a non-permanent solution. This isn't about permanently changing the shape of your nose. It's about providing some temporary, that could be up to 2 years, changes in your nasal shape. What we normally find, and we have some people who have been coming to us for about 8 years, 9 years now for injections, and we have some people who come for a couple of injections, maybe 3 injections, and then they stop coming, and it's actually quite a cordial conversation because they will kind of, they'll stand up, they'll shake our hands and they'll say, thank you, doctor, you really, really helped me out over the last 4-6 years, but the importance that I attach to the shape of my nose has changed now. I've got a family now and I'm worried about them more, or just my attitude towards my nose has completely changed. And that's normally what happens. It's a really great emotional roller coaster to go on with people, because when people come to us, they don't have that confidence. They have their treatment done, and within 15 minutes the treatment's actually being carried out. And I'll get to that in a second, how we actually do it, but the treatment's carried out and people leave with that instant boost of confidence, and that kind of anchor's been taken away. So that's a lovely transformation to go through with people. And what happens is that they grow into themselves a little bit more. They become more comfortable in their skin, and their attitude towards their nose changes. And that's kind of how the longevity of that result, it's a bit linked to what your attitude is towards your nose. So there is that. The result gradually fades away, doesn't just kind of overnight flick and change. So that's worth bearing in mind. And lastly, I'd just like to talk about why we're a good choice to have your non-surgical nose reshaping. Experience counts for a lot, and we've got a guy who's been a surgeon for nearly 40 years. So very experienced at what he's doing. There's a guy who's been injecting into noses for nearly 10 years now, so he's kind of been there and done it and seen it all. We're averaging out about 1 a day in a month for non-surgical nose reshaping. So we're very experienced. We know what's going on. We guide you through it. We always are available for you to come and speak to us. And there's very few treatments where it doesn't hurt because we use a numbing cream. You don't feel anything. So there's that. There's very few treatments that you can do that give you instant results. You see the results straight away. So before you actually leave the clinic, you'll see it. And that's after that, is a little bit of swelling starts kicking in. But once that's gone, that's the result that you're going to get. And you've already seen that. So that's quite nice. It's instantly gratifying as well. It's great for us. We love it. You know, what a great way to talk about the treatment. And you know, we offer a fantastic top-up service, which for only £50 more, you can have a top-up in a few weeks' time, and that's really great if you're a first-timer, because what happens there is that you have your first injection. It enables us to be a bit conservative first time, because we know we've got that top-up in hand, and you see the result. You then get the swelling, and people usually then start liking the little bit of the result that they had with the swelling as well. When that fades away, normally at that point somebody be a bit dissatisfied with the result, and we just come back and go, hey, look, you know, at this point we can do a top up, so let's do that, and kind of finalize the result. So that's it about non-surgical nose reshaping, and please do connect with us. You know, we've got a wealth of information. I do beg your pardon, I was meant to leave one more slide on, but we've got a wealth of information on our website. That's smoothandsimple.com. We've got some fantastic blogs on there. We've got some great facts and figures about non-surgical nose reshaping, and you can go on there and you can book a call back with. You come through to me directly, and you can actually speak to me and find out a little bit more about the treatment. Prices, that's an important thing, and you can come in and see me and see some results which always speak for themselves. So a lot of information there, and we're happy to help and happy to oblige with providing more information, and also myth bust if there's anything out there that you feel isn't quite right and you're not sure about. Well, we're really happy to help with that, because we know this is a fantastic treatment and we get really satisfied guests who have it. So thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope you found that information useful.